Chris Vinifrock from our financial planning team, joined here today by Daniel Jurgen, another member of our team, here talking to you today about a common question that we get whenever we're doing planning, and it's the old traditional versus Roth when we're saving. And so to answer that question, we wanted to boil it down into a couple of key parameters for everyone to consider, and then walk you through some case scenarios just on how that makes sense in just a couple minutes. So getting into the weeds right away is, how do I make that decision? Well, there's a lot of things to consider, but the three main things are time horizon, so the time you need the funds, the anticipated growth rate that you're going to get on the funds that invested, and then your tax situation, both today and when you actually take the funds out, okay? And so from a traditional perspective, the shorter the time horizon, the lower the growth rate. And if you anticipate your tax situation to actually go down between now and in the future, that's going to tee up a traditional to work really well for you. Conversely, Roths, which are sometimes considered like the holy grail of investments, can be, but usually they make a lot more sense when these things are true. Longer term time horizons, higher growth rates, and an increasing tax environment, okay? And so what you're really trying to do here is balance compound growth expectation, which are, the growth expectation plus the time, and the timing in which that taxation occurs. And so what we want to do is walk you through two scenarios, one that's a traditional makes a ton of sense, one the Roth makes a ton of sense, just so you can see how this works in real life planning. And so Daniel, will you take us through kind of the, hey, this one's definitely a Roth IRA, makes the most sense in this situation?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So long time horizon, let's assume a 30-year growth rate, high increasing returns. Let's assume an 8% growth rate, a current tax bracket of 30, and let's say an increasing tax rate in the future after 30 years of 40%. Looking at the 30-year time horizon, we're going to deposit $10,000 today. And if we're currently in the 30% bracket, we're going to pay $3,000 of tax. That results 30 years from now in a $100,000 portfolio, which we could either pay $40,000 of tax on if we didn't take that deduction, but because we did pay $3,000 of income tax and we put this in a Roth IRA, we can take out the entire $100,000, saving $40,000 of taxes.
Yeah, so obviously anybody in their right mind would say, hey, I'm going to pay $3,000 today to get $40,000 in the future. That's a good investment, right? And so that's when Roths make a ton of sense, and that's because of those three things time aligning. And Dan, will you walk us through a scenario where it might make more sense to take a traditional approach?
Yeah, so let's assume a 5-year deferral period, only a 3% growth rate. And let's say right now we have a 30% tax rate. And in the future, after that 5-year deferral, we're going to have a 15% effective tax rate. So we put $10,000 in today, and we're not going to pay tax on it because it's traditional. We're going to be able to deduct $3,000. And that results in 5 years from now, that $10,000 grows to $11,593, which means when we withdraw that, we're going to have to pay $1,700 of income tax. So we were able to get a $3,000 deduction. 5 years later, when we pull the money out, we only pay $1,700 of income tax.
Yeah, so both of them kind of, it's squarely, you never want to make an investment where, $3,000 today only gets you $1,700 in the future. So you'd rather take the $3,000 today and say, forget that $1,700. So you pick traditional in that case. And so, these are when all three of these things align. In real life, things aren't usually that clean. And so that's why you really need to, either look at this each and every year or work with a financial advisor in order to figure out which traditional or Roth is right for you. And it's usually an annual decision. It's not a one size fits all perpetually equation there, right? So every year you kind of got to look at, hey, my time horizon, how I'm going to invest the funds, and what the tax horizon looks like given, your current income situation, as well as, whatever Congress is doing with the tax laws and things at the time. And so those are the three things that we consider whenever we're trying to make recommendations on, hey, does it make sense for Roth or traditional? And so we hope it helps you, and we'd love to help you with your own individual plan. So thanks for your time, and have a good day.